Heads up, we're rolling into part 2. We pick up from the morning after the Muto's awakening. A cover story is being put out claiming that the destruction from the previous night was caused by a large earthquake. The thing is, they're showing images of large fires in the background, but I don't know what those are from. All we saw last night was the Muto fucking up the one facility before flying off. Did it go on a destruction spree and we just didn't get to see that? I would have liked to. I'm just saying, it probably would have been better to say there was a large blackout or something. Otherwise, the destruction we saw and the aftermath that's being shown now become disjointed. I mean, I guess the main point of all of this was to show Elle getting worried about Ford, or just acknowledge that she's still in the movie. We see her frantically trying to get in touch with authorities, but to no avail. However, concerned as she is with getting any new information right now, when we see her again 10 minutes later, she's left her phone on vibrate in the other room while she's having family bath time. I guess she must have forgotten the whole missing husband in an earthquake thing by then. Meanwhile, at the now destroyed Janjira facility, Serizawa surveys the damage. Clearly, mistakes were made. That's when a Captain Hammond approaches and tells Monarch the military will be taking operational control of Operation Monarch from Monarch for the operation. What? Oh, whatever. Dude asks if Serizawa needs to bring anyone, and he's like, those guys is smart. So they take the Brodies with them. However, Joe dies during the flight. Probably should have taken him to a hospital, huh? I mean, I have no idea what medical facilities an aircraft carrier has, but I can't help but imagine a Japanese hospital being better equipped. Knowing their technology, I bet they have, like, Bacta tanks or something. They probably even got that robot from the end of Revenge of the Sith. Ooba, ooba. Regardless, Brian dies in the chopper. He does manage to scrape out his last words to his son, though.
Go home to your family. Keep them safe. Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes. They do bring this line back several times in the movie, so that's a plus for me. However, Ford's reaction to his father's death is underwhelming. I think we need to talk a little bit more about Ford here. You ever see The Patriot? Like him or hate him, Mel Gibson gives one of the best man cries I've ever seen in a movie. Just the way he fights the reality of his son's death, and the moment it all suddenly rushes into him, now that's a death reaction. Compare that to Ford Brody here, who looks like he forgot the final exam was today, or he left his wallet on the bus. It's night and day. Where's the passion? I think the issue is that we're not using this moment to develop Ford's character. Besides being told to go home to his family, which he was gonna do anyway, his father's death never impacts Ford's character. Sure, his character gets a physical journey, but not a narrative one. Here's how I would fix Ford. When his father dies in front of him, a switch should flip. There should be a burning anger in his eyes that shows things just got personal for him. However, juxtapose that against his being EOD. As someone who disarms bombs for a living, he must be someone with a very cool temperament. But his father's death is an event that pushes his restraint to the limit. He just got home from a tour of duty, separated from his family, and saw his father die at the hands of a monster that is now gunning for his hometown. The Muto is at the center of his character. Whenever the Muto gets brought up, you should see some anger flash across his eyes or his fists clench. Maybe that restraint breaks at some point in the film, causing him to make a mistake, or put him in a situation where he needs to make a choice between an emotional decision and a rational one. Give me something besides Soldier Man Go Home, Plow Sister. Aren't we all tired of that same old story? We arrive at the USS Saratoga, named after a Lexington-class aircraft carrier used in the real-life atomic bomb tests conducted at the Bikini Atoll. You know you can actually go diving at its wreck? I never would, though. Fucking hate the ocean. I'll leave the adventuring to those James Cameron, Gordon Lightfoot listening types. Could you imagine there was some Edmund Fitzgerald-like Saratoga song?
She pitched and she rolled as the bomb did explode and sank off the shores of the atoll. Ugh. This song is a bore and goes on for much more. Let's get back to discussing this asshole.
Opie and Anthony got that song stuck in my head, and now you're all paying for it. Just you wait.
That previous portion of the program was brought to you by alcohol. Alcohol, bringing families closer together.
Alright, brace yourself for rapid-fire exposition. On the bridge of the Saratoga, Admiral Stenz breaks down the situation. The creature has been dubbed Massive Unidentified Terrestrial Organism, or MUTO for short. So the MUTO is flying eastward over the Pacific, and is, quote, playing havoc with our radar and satellite feeds. I guess they forgot about that by the Halo drop scene. Now, they're attempting to find the MUTO through strictly visual means, but they don't actually discuss what the plan is when they find it. Knowing this series, I'm sure it'll be something clever. Stenz goes over to greet Serizawa, who's doing his patented distant gaze. But he leaves the room before he can debrief him in any way. For some reason, instead of informing the man in charge of the operation about the current situation, he instead goes to get Ford and explains all his findings to him. I mean, you think this might be out of some courtesy for his dead father, but if so, why does Serizawa keep Brody's family photo? It's kind of a dick move. And here we get the big Godzilla reveal. In 1954, the first US nuclear submarine explored the depths of the ocean and awakened Godzilla. After the sub was destroyed, tensions rose between the Russians and Americans as they thought each other was responsible. It's kind of an homage to the sub disaster in Godzilla 1985 here, which I like. By the way, tell me that the Russian sub-captain from Godzilla 1985 doesn't look like Ron Burgundy. It's uncanny. When both countries discover Godzilla was responsible, the military began dropping nukes on it in an attempt to kill this ancient alpha predator. At this point though, I'm wondering what the fuck this has anything to do with what just happened. Ford here just survived a monster attack and they're bringing him in the back room saying, "Hey buddy, sorry about your dad, that was RB, but dude, you ain't even seen the real shit. You think that was bad? Look at that motherfucker. I know this is a mind-blowing revelation, but try to keep it under your hat. And enjoy your all-expenses-paid trip to Hawaii, courtesy of your uncle." Why give him this top-secret information and then let him go? It's bizarre. Well, I guess they're not too worried about him spilling the beans since he seems so nonchalant about the whole deal. Alright, let me just compile some of Ford's reactions to him being told that giant monsters are real. Snoresville. The guy's falling asleep like this is history class. Alright, well I guess I'll have to be the guy who keeps raising my hand then. Let's start with my biggest question. I have to admit, I do not understand what the term balance means in this universe. Every movie, we need balance. He is the balance, enforcer of balance. But balancing what? Man and nature? Monsters in nature? Men and monsters? I mean, we have this looming threat that Godzilla will check mankind when they start tilting the balance. You think he might have stepped in when they were nuking him. But no, he's coming in to balance things now that there's a monster threatening mankind. Now here's my question. Shouldn't the MUTO be the balance? Think about it. Mankind has gotten to a point where our drive for technological expansion and nuclear reliance has encroached on the environment. Who better than a monster that absorbs nuclear energy and emits EMPs to balance our environmental impact? That would seem to be the whole point of even having the EMP power in the first place. But no, for some reason, balance is having Godzilla stop the MUTO, allowing mankind to continue unimpeded on what is described in the next movie as a crash course to environmental catastrophe. So what does balance mean? Anyone? The fans love throwing that word out there like it tidies up all the character motivations and storylines, yet here I am thinking it makes things needlessly more complicated. If you're going to swap out Godzilla's nuclear message with an environmental one, can you at least take the time to think it through? If the movie tells us that humanity is nature's greatest threat, then why is Godzilla an emissary of nature defending mankind and allowing us to continue on? And I know he's the bad guy in Godzilla vs. Kong. My point is, they should have just started there. Anyway, they ask Ford if he has anything useful to say, and we all know that answer. I mean, he does mention the echolocation thing his dad said earlier, which clues them into checking out the other spore they found in the Philippines, but honestly, once the first one hatched into the Cloverfield monster, wouldn't you be checking on the other one anyway? And with that, they tell him that if the Muto can't be found, another, even worse monster will show up, whose legend casts a shadow on fear itself. And to have a nice day as they send him to Hawaii on a courtesy chopper. This is where Ford tries to call his sister wife, but she doesn't answer.
Oh, he crossed the whole world to get back to his girl, but his sister no longer had interest. No attention she paid as she sat there and played with a child, the product of incest.
Oh, what, am I taking the joke too far? You know in the original draft they were supposed to be brother and sister, right?
You serious?
Well, I'm sorry to say we're gonna have to end this on a horrific note. We'll pick up from the Hawaii attack after I've begun my review for Godzilla vs. Kong. Can't believe it's already here. Here's hoping for it to live up to all its preemptive hype. I'll see you on the other side, guys.